Namaste everyone, today I'm going to cover what it is to have Mercury in the third house and what character traits you could expect from having Mercury in the third house. Now I have Mercury in the third house. Now this video idea came to me yesterday when I was watching Mark Passio's video on natural laws, and he was describing what the difference between an intellectual and an intelligent person is. And immediately it came to my mind that having certain astrological placements gives you intellect, but it doesn't give you intelligence. And also having some certain placements could give you intelligence, yet you don't have intellect. Now I wanted to make it clear that having intellect doesn't mean you're intelligent. For example, well, you might be the most intellectual person, alright, reading books and digging into subjects that are very difficult. However, it doesn't make you intelligent. An intelligent person has the both hemispheres of the brain balanced, alright, and they could make a decision based on knowledge plus action, which equals wisdom. Now, having Mercury in the third house is a very big gift because Mercury is in its own house, okay? Because the third house is ruled by Gemini, and Mercury rules Gemini. So when you have Mercury there, you have a very big wealth of information coming to you, all right? If you have that placement, all right, natally. And I have that placement, and when I was a kid, I could remember that my mom really showered me with a lot of knowledge. She allowed me to read any books I wanted. She allowed me to dig into any religions I wanted, all right? There was just no restrictions. She always took me to different art centers as a kid, all right? As a kid, you know, as I was developing. She always took me everywhere, all right? To different parks. She took me to different events, all right? She made sure that I knew what art was, and she also made sure that I was exposed to different kinds of music, all right? That I wasn't limited. When it came to knowledge, I would have to say that my mom, she was very generous when it came to that. And that has to do with the moon placement, and I might do a video on moon placement because I do have moon in Aquarius, and that is the way my mom, you know, treated me as a child. She was very open to authenticity. That's what Aquarius represents, but that's another video. But Mercury in the third house, all right? Mercury in the third house is one of those gifts because Mercury represents mind. All right, you have that there in the third house, and the third house represents Gemini. It represents multiplicity. It represents the two sides of the story. When you have Mercury there, Mercury does not judge immediately with the mind. All right, there's a lot of people that when they get a book, they're like, well, you know, this person was a killer. All right, this person did, you know, evil things to other people. I mean, the author's not a really good person, so why should I even bother, you know, listening to his work? However, people that have Mercury in the third house, they can separate the emotional stir that they derived from the material, and they could also separate the logic side. And they could separate those two, and they could absorb the information with no judgment to their benefit, all right? Now, Bruce Lee was one of the writers of the first book I ever read, which is called The Tao of Taekwondo. And his philosophy is just that. It's just that you must learn how to have a non-judgmental mind in order to learn from everything. All right, you just can't say, well, I'm not going to learn that because you know, that person's evil or that person did something wrong, therefore whatever he has to say, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't benefit me and whatever, you know, that kind of mentality. All right, no, the Mercury in the third house is very fluent. All right, it's based on duality. They could take both evil and right, and then they could, you know, discern on their own. And I think that's a very important quality that people have to learn. All right, people have to learn how to be their own leaders and not to follow what everybody says. People who want leaders deserve to be led. All right. Now, I hope this video was interesting, and I hope that if you don't have this placement, you can learn from this placement. All right, and incorporate this philosophy into your life. So, namaste.